Hello and welcome to the Ren Den. I'm Ren, this is the Den, and today we're going to make an outfit for a dinosaur convention out of dinosaur fabric. So this is a single bedsheet from Dunelm. Because it only comes in single, I would assume it's meant for children. However, it slaps and I want to make clothes out of it. Even though it's a single, it's double-sided. Here you go. So the inside is just the outlines of the fossil skeletons for the dinosaurs, and the outside has got these really cool labels on bits. So obviously I want to use much more of the dark green side than the pale side, but the pale side is great backup if I run out of fabric for anything. So the question is, what are we going to make out of it? Now, I was originally going to make a top, because I have 5 days to do this. Or I have to hand sew, take everything that I would need to finish it and hand sew the rest, which is potentially a lot. So I have 5 days to finish this with access to the machine. I was just going to copy the orange top that I made at Dressmaking in a Day, because I know that process. I can just trace, I know that that top fits me really nicely, so I can just trace it. They're both non-stretch fabrics. And then I was going through the patterns that I have, and I did see these dungarees. So am I going to try and make dungarees for the first time in 5 days? Maybe. I think the first thing to do is to work out how plausible this is. So what I think I'm going to do is open this, work out my sizings for the pieces, and then I'll lay it out and work out, because the print is quite big, because obviously it's meant for bedding. So getting the placements right might restrict me in terms of, can I actually get a whole set of dungarees out of this, or do I need to, lower my expectations and just do the top? We're going to make a dinosaur outfit, whether that ends up being a top or dungarees, in 5 days. Having never made dungarees before, and only having made one top, and never having made anything out of bed sheets. Before we even open the packet, I need to work out my measurements on here. Hold please. Okay, 110, 113, 138. Cool, so we will be attempting to combine 3 sizes. Brilliant, love that for me. What have we got? A booklet and the bits. Right, so this is the pattern plan. So I've got quite wide fabric, obviously, because it's bed. This is the wide fabric. So this is what they propose for the layout. The trick is going to be, I basically don't have selvages, so it's just working out where the folds are going to end up being. Looks so easy when it's laid out like that, doesn't it? So this is the back leg, which we would have 2 of. This is the front leg, which again we would have 2 of. And then this is all the other bits. Let's do it with one at a time. The waist is here, which is going to be 11. The hips are here, and I want those at 12. So just need to come out that far. Can you see that? We just need to come from here to here in this space. So that doesn't feel like that bad. And then we're just going to follow the larger one the rest of the way around the leg. Okay, I'm going to finish tracing around this and then do exactly the same on the other leg. And a lot of the regular pieces the smaller pieces should be quite straightforward on the 3rd sheet, but I will probably come back to you for doing the bib, because that's going to be much smaller than this. So I need it to join to this waist, but be narrower at the top, I think. I'm going to draw around everything before I cut anything. And then if later I figure out that my maths is off, then that's fine. I can just adjust it. But if I start cutting one by one, then I've sort of committed to the situation, and that's scary. It's scary to me that I'm going to have to cut all of these out and then still might not make dungarees today. This is still a useful exercise in terms of working out a pattern by myself. It'll be about how much fabric there is and where I'm prepared to compromise on pattern placement. But yeah, I'm going to draw around the rest of these, come back to you if I hit any more problem solving in that process, and then we do cutting. The thing I'm realizing about editing patterns so that they fit me is I'm so short, actually. Like, I'm gonna have to take 9 centimeters out of the middle of these. Half of 9 is 4.5. If I folded it here, sorry if you can hear weird noises, by the way, it is storming outside. What do you think I should do with this? I mean, I'm asking you, like, I'm not going to have made the decision by the time you see this, but do you think the best thing to do is to, like, yeah, probably. So, I'm reasonably confident that the pattern pieces are correct. Famous last words. So, now what I need to do is lay them all out on the fabric and try and work out what needs to come out of what. So, yeah, so step 1 of the next bit, seam ripping the fabric, the duvet cover apart. Step 2, laying it all out and just working out if I'm gonna have to compromise on. I think I have enough fabric out in the 2 pieces, and there's the pillowcase as well. It's just, do I have enough fabric to not compromise too badly on what bits have to be in white? So the pockets, the pocket bags, I can do that in the white. That's fine, and probably I could do the straps in white if I had to, but I'd rather not. But yeah, we've got to prep the fabric and then test, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do in here because I'm going to need a big space to be able to lay it all out at once. If I can give you a picture of what I'm about to do, then I will. If not, you might just have to trust me about it. So I'm sorry, there are limitations to the render, and one is I don't have like a true cutting table. Which would have been fine for a top, but for dungarees I think it's going to be slightly more effort. Anyway, wish me luck. Okay, so all the pieces are cut out and notched, including the linings. I messed up a little bit a couple of times. One, I ripped the fabric while I was separating the 2 sides, and actually, even though I have short legs, I still had to shorten the legs a little bit to get them to fit on there. I think it will be fine. I think it's still going to be in the region of like a reasonable leg length for me, especially because I normally wear boots underneath, so it's not like it's going to look weird with shoes or whatever. So I think that's fine. It was definitely a tight fit. I couldn't have done it if the other side of the fabric hadn't been usable as lining. Like if I didn't mind, or if the 2 sides were the same, it would have been really easy. But if you're only using one side, it gets a bit tight. The other thing that I did wrong. So these are the pieces for the straps. I laid out all the pattern pieces and thought about placements and where I would need to do repeats and blah blah blah. And then I didn't trust myself to have made the right decision, and I moved a piece up because I thought the pattern that it would encompass would be better, because it was quite difficult to deal with. This is such a large print pattern, because obviously it's meant for a bedsheet, that trying to get like good bits of dinosaur fossils on the, like, especially like the front facing bits, was quite tricky. So we'll see how that works. but I got sort of distracted by that problem and moved a piece up into, because this is, you need to cut 4 of these. You need to do doot and then doot on the fabric. And I moved into the section I was going to cut for the second bit. So 2 of these are slightly tapered at the end. So we'll see how that works. Worst comes to worst, what I'll do is cut off the tapered bit and sew another bit to it, and there'll just be a join and you probably won't even see it. But otherwise, I think I managed to do that fairly well. First thing we need to do is the bits that have interfacing, which is the yoke, iron the interfacing on, and then we need to sew a line of stay stitching onto the armholes, and then there's some trimming that has to happen. So I'm going to figure that out. It looks like we start constructing the front bib first. So that's cool. Wish me luck. We're going to run stay stitches around the armholes so that it doesn't stretch. Okay, like so. Irritatingly, I've just spilled tea on the corner of my front bib linings, which are white. So I've rinsed them out. I'm hoping they'll be okay. So while that dries, because I know that the front bib is literally the first thing in the instructions, I might do the construction a little bit out of order to give that a chance to dry but not have to stop immediately. And then I just have one more. They were already all sewn up, so that's one thing. And then I've just got one more armhole stay stitching to do, and then I can have a rummage through the instructions and see what else we can do at the moment. My question is, what if your stay stitches are the thing that stretches your fabric out of shape? I'm sure it's fine. So I have at this point faffed around for long enough that the front bib pieces are actually dry. So I think I am going to revert to following the actual instructions. As far as I got with the straps, I've only pressed them. I also cut off the tapering because it turns out I wasn't even symmetrical along the length, so I don't know what I was thinking. So I cut off the tapered bit and I have sewn on an extra bit at the end. So these will be the back straps. And that bit will just go right down like behind my shoulder, so you won't really see it. It's as good as I was going to get, I think, with what I've got. So we've got to trim the armholes and the yokes, and then we can start sewing the bib pieces together. And then we are sewing the front bibs together, the lining and the outside. I'm wondering if I should taper in the top of the square, because this is just very, I mean, it's going to be, I suppose I'm not using all of the seam allowance yet on both sides, but that's still quite broad. It sort of at this point comes down to, do I trust my instinct or theirs? And I would actually rather the bib be too small than too wide, because that's always been a problem. Let me pin this at 15 mils because that's where it's actually going to be. I mean, that does already feel more reasonable. And then if we assume this is going to get halved because of the seam allowance for the other bit, yeah, that's probably not bad actually. Okay, I'll trust the process, I suppose. So I just got to pin the lining, hopefully without an existential crisis, and then stitch, trim, press. And And now press. Okay, so I will confess I've done a little bit without you. Sorry about that, but I was listening to Worlds Beyond Number and I didn't want to stop. Can recommend as a podcast. If you like storytelling of any kind, it's completely fantastic. Just absolutely blowing me out of the water. I said that really posh. Blowing me out of the water. But yeah, so sorry, not sorry. The last episode was great. What I have done, I got myself into a bit of a muddle with the bib layers. So I didn't read the instructions properly, basically. So what I did first was I sewed the front bib lining to the front bib and the back bib lining to the back bib, and did that via the arm side section rather than the side seam as instructed. So completely went off piste. Tried to work around it and then realised I'd actually completely sewn the wrong bits to the wrong bits, so I unpicked it and started again. I also ran out of thread and had to call in a favour from a very lovely partner who got me this on his travels yesterday. It's a different colour from the thread that I was using, but it is spot on for the thread, for the matching the fabric, for the darker green in the fabric. So no complaints, 10 out of 10. So what I've ended up with is the linings of the front and back bibs are sewn together, right sides together, by the side seams, which is this bit, not this bit. And the yokes are sewn to the top and top stitched. And then I've done exactly the same with the front bib and the back bib, not the lining, obviously. They both have the interfacing on these sections. And again, that's like top stitched there and attached at the side seams, which I've trimmed and pressed. So the next thing is the straps. While I was having a crisis over that, I did prep the straps. So I've pressed all of these, there's 4 of these, and sewn them. I think next to trim them, pin, stitch, trim and grade, snip diagonally, and then turn them right side out, which is what this is going to be for. Then I think, start constructing the sort of top section. That should be all the bits ready, and then, we start to put it together. I'm still not quite sure how the yoke interacts with the bibs. I think it's visible at the top, but I haven't quite worked it out, and rather than guessing from the pictures, which so far has not worked for me, I'm going to read the instructions and follow them as precisely as I can. I think maybe what I might do if I do another one of these is go through it with a highlighter and literally highlight every direct instruction and then number them so that it's really clear if I'm skipping a step. So yeah, I'm just gonna trim down the seam allowance for these, miter the corners. I don't know if it's called mitering in sewing. You know, you cut the corner at a diagonal to make it not a point, to remove some of the bulk in a fold or whatever. In paper it's called mitering, but I don't know if that's true generally. Okay, there's our 4 straps. So now I feel like starting this is going to be the hardest part of it. Having never done this before, I am quite enjoying it. I do think if you scrunch too much fabric on it all at once, it then doesn't want to go over. So that seems to be the main thing to try and manage. They always make this look really easy on sewing bee, don't they? We're over the end, so let's just get it all off here. And then hopefully... Oh, hang on. There might be a way to, as I'm removing the chopstick, just run it down the seam line just to push it out a little bit. Because the bit where I sort of did that has come out sharper than the rest of it, but that's pretty cool. There's teeth on this side. Okay, so I just got to do that 3 more times and then go press this, which feels like it's going to be fiddly. I'm using the big iron to press for this because the small one just takes too, it's okay for dinky cute little projects and it would be great for quilting, I bet. But for this sort of thing, I just needed to press faster than that. So unfortunately, probably won't be any filming of pressing for this one again. a limitation of the render. Like, I am enjoying the sort of experiments with dressmaking, but this is a very small room to do this in. And it's definitely one of the activities where the render starts to feel like it's making do. Whereas with papercraft, it's lovely. But like every spare space in this room is currently covered in pattern or pieces or instructions or tools or scraps, and it's fine because I'm currently working on the project. But the second I finish the project, I'll have to tidy the room properly, because otherwise I'll want to peel my own skin off, and nobody wants that. Alright, I'm going to do these two and then press, and then the next thing is to attach these to the bibs. So I'll come back to you at that point, because it'll probably be some brain twisty nonsense. Straps. They look pretty cool. My favourite one, I think, is this one that just says teeth on it. I just think that's funny. Okay, now that we've got the straps, we need to attach them to the bibs and not get confused about right sides and wrong sides and linings and main bits and up and down. It's going to be a lot to keep track of. So these are the straps that I want to be attached to the back, because they've got the extra bit sewn on them. And we want this because it's the interfaced. I might see if I can fit the overhead stand on this table so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, you should broadly be able to see what's going on. Apologise for the cable, but there's not really a better way to route that right now. This, already confused, is the right side of the interfaced back yoke, and we want to have these two straps attached to it this way, like that. Okay, I'm going to stay stitch those 10mm in from the raw edge, but first I'm going to attach the other two straps to the lining so that I can do all of that in one go. No, it's not like that, because the interfacing is all on this section. So this is the right side of the interfaced front yoke. I would sort of like to be able to control whether or not teeth shows up on the outside as you're wearing them, but also I am so confused. Because you're going to do this, right? And then turning it the right way out, and then pin the bib to the lining and stitch. Oh, so then you would sew along here and that captures everything, and then it goes over. It's actually going to go like this. And then is that the top? No, because then it will fold like that and go up that way, won't it? So actually I was right. I want this one to be on this side so that when it comes up, ilium is on the top. I'm pretty sure that's right. Okay, let's just pin this and then go check on teeth. Ah, teeth is here. So at the moment, okay, so I'm going to swap these, because then that will flip over and it'll say teeth on it. It's so not going to matter, but emotionally, you know. We're going to stitch a stay stitch 10mm in from the raw edge on all four of these. Cool. 1, 2. Wait, is that... Damn it. This isn't the raw edge, this one. So I've done something wrong. Let me just like this. Is this teeth though? No, this is my least favourite one actually. So the placement matters slightly less, which is nice. Raw edge, raw edge. Okay, just the one. And then this goes on the inside, and that goes that way around. And finally, 4. Okay, this is the outer bib and needs to be right sides out. This is the lining and is wrong sides out. Get the straps through, like they're little armies. Oh no, the straps are actually going down. Inside. So it's like trying to dress an alien. Okay, I'm not going to film the pinning because I feel like that's going to take ages, because I'm going to do the armholes really, really carefully. and that's going to be quite boring. So I will rejoin you for maybe a bit of sewing, and then, in theory, we turn it right way out and have the top. I want to, at all times, be able to see all 4 straps out the bum, because that, or the waist, I suppose, because that will mean I'm probably not sewing them into the seam I'm about to do. I should be good. Everything's pinned quite tightly and loosely on the seam allowance, so it shouldn't shift too badly. Gotta stop sitting like a pretzel so I can reach the pedal. Off we go. Big long bit. Brilliant. I'm just gonna have to hope that what I fear is happening is not happening, which is that I'm sewing down the side of the straps and fucking them up. Because if that happens, all I'll need to do is unpick that small section and sew over it so that it doesn't untangle. I won't need to unpick the whole thing. Look, the hedgehog's got like a little top knot. Okay, moment of truth. That looks okay. That looks okay. That one is not. That one is just. So it's literally just this one. Right, I can see the little bit that I need to unpick. If you hold it up to the light, you can see where the straps are, which is quite helpful. Okay, and then I'm just going to sew like that over the top of the bit that I've ripped out. And then that should, hopefully, sort it, as long as I don't sew over it again. Possibly some of the most secure machine stitching I've ever done, so if it's wrong, that will be disappointing. Oh, yeah, we're good. That's just out of the corner. Brilliant. Right now, trim, snip the corners, turn, press. Okay. I think I'll skip all that for you because that's fairly the trimming the seam allowance is fairly self-explanatory, and as previously discussed, the pressing will happen in the other room, so you're not going to miss anything particularly intriguing. Hopefully, when you next see me, this will be the right way out and like kind of wearable. Ta-da! Now, obviously it looks a bit weird at this point because like it just looks like a strange tabard. I do feel like there might be boobs built in, which is slightly annoying. So before I join this to the trousers, I might sew a bit extra down the side seams here because I think that's what's giving it boob. I don't know if you can see it, but there's something here that's not quite right, and I sort of was hoping that that wouldn't be what it was, but it is. Which I should have thought about, but it's fine because once I've got the trousers and I can just make sure that this matches the trousers and try it all on as one thing, then I can work out if it actually looks weird or just feels weird now because it's just the top of a pair of dungarees. I'm quite pleased with this placement. I think that's done really well, and there's another guy here. I'm quite pleased with the spine along the back bib. Sort of wish I'd managed to get that on the front because this front one's mostly blank, but it's not the end of the world. So broadly it works. The only thing I'm worried about, I know how I would fix. So we're going to move on to pocket placement, I think is the next thing. Hold please. Right, so it does want me to stay stitch the bottom of this. I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's going to need it because it's not really stretchy fabric, and I want to be able to get inside still because I'm not 100% sure on the situation here. But I need the legs to go on before I know, like where this sits is totally a guess at the moment, so I need the legs to go on before I can work out how far up I want to hoik it and therefore how everything sits. It looks pretty good in close-up when you can't tell, like the rest of it looks weird. There is still something going on here, but I think that's fixable. Okay, so the next things we're going to need the pocket interfacing, which I've been desperately trying not to lose, and both front legs. Oh, front legs, first try. Okay, I sort of didn't think about the fact that I've only drawn the dots on half of it. Yes, I'm using a biro. Please do not at me. So, that notch is lined up, and that notch lines up. Okay, I'm gonna go stick those on, press it. And then we're pinning the legs, which is gonna take 100 years. Okay, so I've done the first the first legs side seams. I think I skipped a lot without filming it because I was and slightly still am freaking out about time management. We should be okay unless I get anything majorly wrong. So fingers crossed. So this one is sewn, but the seams aren't finished. The only thing that I found fiddly about this really was that there is some gathering required on the inside leg. So this is the crotch inside leg, because there's more fabric on the bum side than the front side, so that you've got space to sit down. So what I did was I just ran, I basically put a pin in everywhere there was a notch, and then where there was extra fabric in between the pins, I ran just literally by hand some running stitch along as a gathering stitch, and then kind of used that thread to adjust it to get it as smooth as possible. And I think it's worked pretty well. So all I'm doing to finish these, and this is possibly the slightly more involved version, because I could just zigzag stitch them, but what I've done is I've ironed this over and over itself so that the raw edge is inside, and I'm essentially top stitching just like the very edge of here, just to hold that down and in place. So yeah, I've just got to do that on these two side seams, and then I think we're on to pockets at that point. So I feel like the end is in sight. I hope I just don't run into anything fiddly. Yeah, this might be suffering from the fact that I ironed it yesterday and I'm trying to sew it up today. I'm aware that's not ideal. I'm doing my best. I think the problem is Dungarees is kind of a 2-week project for me. And I'm simply not giving myself enough time. I mean, I literally left the other leg in the machine last night because I really just ran out of time. And there comes a point where it's just not a sociable thing to run the sewing machine. You know, you've got to have some consideration for your neighbours. How they do this stuff in like an hour and a half on Sewing Bee is completely beyond me. No wonder they're constantly running out of time. It's ridiculous. One more. So as I'm stitching, I'm sort of pulling this out. I'm letting the feed dogs run the fabric that way. And not with any great force, but I'm just holding this taut so that it's not catching the actual trouser underneath and gathering it in, which so far is working. Legs. Sweet, I love it. Okay, right. It's been so long since I've needed the instruction book. Okay, so we're sewing the legs together next. To make trousers. So one of these needs to be inside out. Turn one leg right side out, this one, and slip it inside the other leg so that the right sides are facing each other. Yes, leggies. Legception. Pin along the crotch seam, aligning the top of the inside legs with each other and matching notches. Stitch, trim, pull wrong side out, press. Okay. Cool. The fact that I think that sounds straightforward is usually a sign I'm about to mess something up, but basically, I'm going to pin this together and sew it. I would like to take a second to appreciate today's t-shirt, by the way. I sort of forgot I had this, but it's kind of the mood for today. This is a cool thing I picked up from the dressmaking thing. When you're pinning, always think about which way it's going through the machine so that the pins are the way that it's easy to take them out ahead of the machine. So I'm probably going to do it that way. So I want the pins to be like that. So I will put one in here just to make that happen. So I'm just going to stitch that. And then legs. legs. Okay, pocket times. Right, so this is the point at which it's going to start to be required that, because the pocket bags are going to be sewed to both of these layers, which makes sense in terms of stability, but it means that it's going to start being impossible or much harder to get into here. So I think what I'm going to do is pin the bibs and the trousers together now, try it on, and work out if I do want to change this and do that before I do the pockets, actually, because the pockets seems to be the part where it all kind of gets sealed up. Now that's not bad. Okay, so it's almost lower than I'd like it to be at the waist. I think I might have taken slightly too much out of the bibs. So what I might do is screw with the seam allowance, and essentially I can get another centimetre out of here just by doing 5mm instead of 15mm, which I think should be enough to make that more pleasing. There are little bumps just here. It's not hugely noticeable, but I am seeing it. So what I might do is just go into the bodice and just sew over, like, very slightly, the sort of most obvious of that arch that I noticed when I was pinning them together, and do that. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to fix my weird bumps and then put the pockets in, being aware of the fact that I'm going to mess with the seam allowance, so the pockets don't need to be right up to the edge, because no, that's fine. The pockets I can install like I would normally. I'll just get an extra centimetre out of the pockets themselves. Okay, sweet. Look at that. That's way better. It could be better, but I'm not looking for fitted, because it's still got to go over my hips, because that's how you get dungarees on. But it no longer has weird secret boobs in. So, pockets. Okay, so we've got 4 pockets. Front bib waistline, which I am now happy to close. I'm still not doing the stay stitches because I frankly don't want to. So we've got 2 pockets. Oh, these both got little velociraptors on. That's cute. And 2 big dinosaurs on that one. I quite like that, my velociraptor pocket. So this one is these 2. And this one is these 2, and that's right sides together. And then trousers, we're looking for this bit with the interfacing, I think, except it's this way around because it's right sides together. So they want me to do this at a 10mm allowance, but I'm actually going to try and do it at a 5, because I want to make this seam allowance really small so that I can make the body slightly longer. Should turn the machine on, shouldn't I? Okay, it's not working. I've just got to be careful over the notches. And then the bib ones. Press and understitch. Why did I close the book? I still need that. So when it says understitch, what it means is, so this is the way that I've stitched it, like this. And I'm going to press it up that way. And then I'm going to understitch very close to the seam line here on the pocket to hold it in that direction. And that keeps the pockets nice and crisp. So yeah, I'm just going to go do that. Right, let me find my favourite bit of understitching. This one's pretty good, I think. Neat. So that'll just hold the pockets in place. The next thing to do, and almost the final thing, is we're going to... No, hang on. This is 2 steps. This is what happens when I don't read the instructions before I start talking. Right, okay, I'm going to have to do this as I'm reading it, because it don't make no sense. Flip the bib over the legs so they're right sides together. Flip the bib over the legs so they're right sides together. Okay. I think I'm going to have a centimetre of seam allowance. I think half a centimetre is not enough. So I'm going to be brave about it. So actually you do the pocket bags and the waist in one piece, which makes sense because I couldn't work out how you were going to get around the top of the thingamy. So we're going to pin the waistband together and the pocket bags, and then sew it all up. And once again, I'm going to pin all of the notches before I look at anything else, because then if there's any ease needed, just because there shouldn't be, but just because I haven't cut it properly, then that can easily be managed. I think that's it. Okay. Well, now that this is the pointiest thing in existence, I just gotta sew it. I've just realised I didn't finish off those seams. So with the bib, I don't know if I actually filmed what I was doing. I started like trying to reduce the curve in increments, and it was just not working, and it was getting frustrating. So I literally did go back to the like put a ruler down the whole length, draw a straight line, and it's way better. I'm hoping that it stays way better once everything's together, and it's because it's going to hang differently, obviously. But I mean, I ironed the seams out, obviously, so that I could see how it all went, but I didn't trim them, and I'm just wondering how much I care, because I'm about to make that inaccessible. I don't think I care. It's the conclusion to that. I just don't. Do I, though? No, I don't think anyone's ever going to know. Here we go. Big bit. Be bold. Be brave. Be careful. For those of you who do not know this, I have to wind my bobbins by hand because my bobbin winder is broken. This is a reason why I should get this serviced. So you're not about to sit and watch me wind a bobbin. I will skip you to probably right at the end of the sewing, unless something else interesting happens. I'm going to finish off going around this. There's a bit going around that. And then I've just got to hem the bottoms, which I will do. I'll probably try them on, check the length, and then do the hems. And then we're done. So you might see a little bit of ambient sewing. But the reveal is in sight for you. So I think these might be the best thing I've ever made. They're so good. I was really worried about the pattern being so big, but actually it kind of works. Like, this feeds into this, so it doesn't look like it's cut off necessarily to the eye. It says teeth just here, so that's fun. They're actually a really good size. Definitely cutting the curves out of the top has helped shape it a lot. It's much more me shaped now. The legs, I was right about the length. They're pretty much bang on. This is a really good width. The pockets are big. I can't check if my phone fits in them because you're my phone, but they're pretty good. The deep pockets, I can fit my whole hand in there, so it probably is phone shaped. The pattern itself, which was the Erin from Tilly and the Buttons, I thought was fairly straightforward to follow. There was definitely bits where I got stuck, but that was more my own inexperience. I never felt like the pattern itself was kind of leaving me high and dry. It was just I didn't understand what was going on. But we muddled through. And I couldn't be prouder of these. They're so cool. I can't wait to wear them to everything for the next forever. Hello. So I recorded the end of this video like 2-3 weeks ago, before we went on a big trip, which included DinoCon as part of that. And I thought it would kind of be a shame to make the dungarees and then not like talk to you about how the actual event was. So I'm back. DinoCon was really good. It was at the University of Exeter, in the south, which was very warm while we were there. So it's kind of a novelty to like have my hair down and not like full of sweat. So that's quite nice. Now that we're back. But yeah, the event itself was really cool. The tickets were like on the surface of it a little bit pricey, but for that you got, I think, a really like comprehensive experience, and it didn't feel like there was any skimping on like the merch, or like there were two different streams of talks. There was like kind of more accessible talks, and then like straight up lectures about like cutting edge science to do with paleontology, which was really awesome. The vendors area was very cool. There was loads of really cool like paleo art and different things going on, different styles. I got these really cool postcards of like what the Earth looked like at different periods of the world. So one at the late Cretaceous, where it looks a bit more like what we know now, and one at the late Permian, where it's still kind of Pangea. I also got this very gorgeous book, so I can now put dinosaurs in my D&D games, which is very cool. And there's rules in here for some different like sentient species and like player character options and different settings. There is rules in here for taming and domestication of dinosaurs as well, so that's very cool. And finally, I got this lovely little planter that's a Triceratops, because it's really cute. But yeah, as for the dungarees, they held up really well. I was stressed. So one thing that happened immediately after I finished filming the original end to this video was I crouched under the desk to unplug, I think, the sewing machine or something, and immediately split the entire crotch, like half, like basically the whole bum. Just the seam just split open. So that wasn't ideal. So I went over it. The sewing machine was obviously still plugged in, so I just went over it like 3 times to try and give it a bit more strength. What I think I will do is go back and top stitch pretty much every seam I can access, just to give it an extra bit of strength, because obviously it is made of bedding, it's not made of like clothes material. But other than once I'd sewn that up, I haven't had any more incidents. I've worn them twice since then. I received many compliments at DinoCon, which was really nice. It was definitely worth like having a dinosaur outfit to go to DinoCon. That was really cool. What I didn't realise is it's the first year of DinoCon, so I'm really hoping that they do it again next year, because it was a really cool event. But yeah, other than just wanting to give them a little bit more strength to the seams, really pleased with how the dungarees turned out. They're comfortable, they look good. I think I did shorten the bib maybe a little bit too much, so I think if I do it again I would give myself just a little bit more height on the front bib, because of how the weight falls. Like once you put stuff in the front pockets, the whole thing is sort of not pulled exactly, but angled forwards, and it just means that the bib ends up being like lower than I was originally anticipating. So yeah, I would probably give myself a bit more space in there, but otherwise 10 out of 10, no notes. So yeah, we'll call that a success. My second really successful dressmaking project, and one that's definitely given me the confidence and the excitement to do more. So we'll see how that goes. I've got a lot of stuff planned for the rest of the year, so I don't know quite how the queue is going to fall, but we'll see. Watch this space. So yeah, that's that. I hope that this was fun to watch. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe got excited about dressmaking or dinosaurs yourself. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this one. It's a bigger project again, but definitely well worth doing. So thank you for being along for the ride. As always, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And otherwise, take care, and I'll see you on the next project.